Chief Whip, are we set?
Is that not what you are saying?
The holiday, I think it's 13th.
Huh? What is the difference? 14th?
13th. We adjourn on 13th. Then the holiday will start from Thursday to run till 26th. Huh?
You're talking loud.
Chief Whip, are we set? Call the Senate to order. Distinguished colleagues, votes and proceedings. Votes and proceedings, page 36, 31, page 36, 32, page 36, 33, page 36, 34, page 36, 35, page 36, 36, page 36, 37, page 36, 38, page 36, 39, page 36, 40, page 36, 41, page 3642, page 3643, page 3644, page 3645, page 3646, page 3647, page 3648, page 3649, page 3650, page 3651, page 3652, page 3653, page 3654, page 3655, page 3656, page 3657, page 3658, page 3659, page 3660, page 3661, 3662, 3663, 3664, 3666, 65, 3665, 3666, 3667, 3668, 3659, 3670, page 3671. Distinguished Senator Engineer Kabir Abdullah Barkia, Katana Central.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleague. I'm Senator Kabir, Engineer Kabir Abdullah Barkia, Katana Central. I rise to move for the approval of votes and proceedings Wednesday, 23rd March 2022. I so move. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Patrick Ayo Akiolure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name remains Senator Joaquin Lue, representing Ondo Central. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion that the votes and proceedings Wednesday, 3rd March 2022 be approved. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 23rd of March 2022 be approved, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 23rd March 2022 is hereby approved. Letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, transmission of the National Senior Secondary School Education Commission Bill 2021 for consideration. Pursuant to Section 58, Subsection 2 of 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, I forward herewith the National Senior Secondary School Education Commission Bill 2021 for the current consideration of the Senate. The National Senior Secondary School Education Commission Bill 2021 seeks to set and enforce standards and provide federal government intervention towards the repositioning of senior secondary education in Nigeria. While hoping that this submission will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the Senate, please, distinguished Senate President, please accept distinguished Senate President the assurance of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammad Buhari. Another letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, transmission of the Federal University of Health Sciences, Otukpo, Benue State Bill 2021 for consideration. Pursuant to Section 58, Subsection 2 of 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, I forward herewith the Federal University of Health Sciences, Otukpo, Benue State Bill 2021 for the current consideration of the Senate. The Federal University of Health Sciences, Otukpo, Benue State Bill 2021 seeks to establish Federal University of Health Sciences, Otukpo, Benue State, while hoping that this submission will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the Senate. Please accept the single Senate President the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Another letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, request for confirmation of appointment of 4 executive commissioners for Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. In accordance with the provision of Section 11, Subsection 3 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, I hereby forward for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of the underlisted 4 nominees as executive commissioners for the board of the Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission. Their CVs are attached herewith. Dr. Nuhu Habib, Northwest Kano State, Member Executive Commissioner, Development and Production. Dr. Kelechi Onyekachi of Egbu, Southeast Imo State, Member Executive Commissioner, Economy Regulation and Strategic Planning. Captain Tong Laga Roland John, South Delta State, Member Executive Commissioner, Health, Safety, Environment and Community. Jide Adiola, North Central Kogi State, Member Executive Commissioner, Corporate Services and Administration. It is my hope that the Senate will consider and confirm the nominees in the usual expeditious manner. Please accept the single Senate President the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Another letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, request for confirmation of appointment of Dr. Hel Gabriel Longpet as Resident Electoral Commissioner representing Plateau State at the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. In accordance with the provision of Section 154 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, I write to present for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of Dr. Hel Gabriel Longpet as Resident Electoral Commissioner representing Plateau State at the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The curriculum vitae of the nominee is attached herewith, while hoping that the Senate will consider and confirm the nominee in the usual expeditious manner. Please accept the single Senate President the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Letter from Senator Enyinnaya Harcourt Abaribe, Minority Leader. Apparently you are in a hurry. After this meeting, he will. Your Excellency, notice of interactive meeting. Dear colleagues, please be informed. No, I think you should target your letter to the PDP, not dear colleagues. Dear colleagues, let me read it as it is. Please be informed. No, Minority Leader. You should use the proper adjectives when you are asking me to read this kind of letter. So, willy-nilly. Please be informed the esteemed leader of our great party and Governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Eze Nyesom Wike CON, will meet with National Assembly Joint PDP Caucus Senate and House as follows. Date, Tuesday 29th March 2020, that is today. Time, 7 p.m. prompt. Venue, Lagos Room, Transcorp Hilton, Abuja. All caucus members are expected to be available and on time. Signed, Senator A. Abaribe, Minority Leader, Senate. Right Honorable Ndudi Elumelu, Minority Leader, House of Reps. Letter from distinguished Senator Michael Ama Nnachi, Ebonyi South Senatorial District. Your Excellency, letter of appreciation on behalf of the entire family of late Pa Samuel Okpai Nnachi. I, Senator Michael Ama Nnachi, sincerely wish to express my profound gratitude to you and indeed all my distinguished colleagues for all your condolence messages, visits, gifts, and most especially for taking out time to honor us with your presence during the funeral ceremony of our beloved mother, late Ezinne Eunice Elem Okpai Nnachi, which took place on Saturday, March 26, 2022, at Itim Edda Afikpo South Local Government Area, Ebonyi State. We pray for God's continuous blessings upon you and the entire Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Please accept the assurances of my esteemed regards. Signed, Senator Michael Ama Nnachi, PhD. And then special announcement. Distinguished colleagues, you recall that on the 26th of this month, precisely Saturday night, Unity Night, two of our distinguished colleagues have been elected to lead the governing party, the All Progressives Congress, APC. Distinguished Senator Abdullahi Adamu was returned elected as the new chairman, the new national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, for 4 years. Another distinguished member of this Senate, distinguished Senator Abubakar Kyari, representing Borno North, was also returned elected as the new deputy national chairman North for the APC. These two distinguished senators are now in charge of our party in Nigeria and beyond. It's a very good development for the legislature. It's a very good development for the National Assembly and particularly the Senate, because these are our experts. On behalf of all of us in the Senate, and when I say all of us, I mean all of us, including, a minority leader. Because very soon some of you will start sniffing around from your PDP angle to see if you have prospects in APC. And you have prospects, better prospects. On behalf of all of us, I want to congratulate our distinguished colleagues, the new national chairman of the APC, as well as the new deputy national chairman of the APC, Senators Abdullah Adamu and Abubakar Kyari. We wish them God's guidance, God's protection as they steer the shape of the new APC. It was a night of unity for the APC members, supporters, lovers, and friends. But of course, a night of disappointment for those who felt the APC will never, ever conduct a convention, a successful one at that, but it was a very successful convention. Our doors are open, Senator Suswam. Our doors are open. Over. Distinguished colleagues, today is going to be a very important day for our country and particularly for our sports development. The Super Eagles will be playing against the Black Stars of Ghana. The Super Eagles, our national team, will be playing against the Black Stars of Ghana for a place in the World Cup to take place in Qatar or Doha 2022. You recall that last week the Super Eagles played a goalless draw in Kumasi, Ghana. So this is the second leg, a return leg, and this leg is the decided leg. I want to urge all of us, and using this medium, all Nigerians, to support the Super Eagles today by going to the National Stadium here in Abuja to cheer them up to victory. It is going to be a very important match for us. We must win this match by the grace of God. Of course, the kickoff time is 6 p.m. So, distinguished colleagues, let's see if we can be there to cheer up our national team. And for that reason, today's session will be a little bit curtailed. We'll close by 1 p.m. by the grace of God to enable every one of us to go and get ready to be there wherever it is possible for us. On behalf of all of us, we are sending our goodwill message to our Super Eagles. The Senate wish them a very successful outing today, and by the grace of God, we'll be there to cheer our team to victory. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Petition, distinguished Senator Binos Dauda.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I am Binos Dauda Yaro, representing Adamawa South. Mr. President, I have a petition from one of my constituents complaining of wrongful dismissal from the Nigerian Army. He fell sick. He was admitted to the Army hospital, referred to 44 Hospital, Kaduna. He was advised to go and seek alternative treatment. After he got better, he returned and discovered he was declared away without official leave. With your permission, I would like to raise the petition.
Is the petitioner seeking any judicial remedy?
No, he's not, Mr. President.
You may lay the petition, please. The petition is referred to the Senate Committee on Ethics privileges and public petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Any more petitions? Leader of the Senate.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Point of order, Senator Obasan.
Mr. President, I want to come under order 41 and 51 on the continued attacks on communities and public facilities in Kano by terrorists. With the permission, I can go ahead to read the order 41.
You may proceed.
Order 41. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting. And the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. 2. If the claim is allowed by the President of the Senate and the leave of the Senate is given by at least 1/5 of all the senators, the matter shall stand over till the next legislative day. 3. A senator moving a motion under combined orders 41 and 51 shall ensure that copies of the motion are available for all senators when approval to move the motion is granted. 4. Not more than one such motion may be made at the same sitting. 51. Notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceedings for which notice is required except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of the senators present. So,
Did you give the synopsis? Because you have come under our standing orders 41 and 51, you need both my endorsement and the at least 1/5 of senators for you to proceed. So I'll put the question. You may sit down, please. Distinguished senators who have listened to our colleague, the distinguished Senator Obasani, seeking our consent to present a motion with respect to some security incidents that happened in the senatorial district. So those in favor that we give him the endorsement to present his motion now, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. You may proceed, please.
thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, Senator Obasani representing Kano Central. Mr. President, the Senate notes that the terrorists have in recent times stepped up attacks on communities and public facilities in Kaduna State. The latest attacks by these murderous elements took place in some communities in your local government, namely Angon Sarkin Yahaya, Tashar Shari, Bari, Tsonin Natal, Dillalai, Durumi, and Jatin Kanwa, all on Yakau the Ward. Other places affected include Aya community, Mekoro, and Fatika. They killed 50 persons and kidnapped over 100 people. They also made strategic roads in your local government no-go areas. Not done with their devilish acts, they made an attempt to penetrate the Kaduna International Airport. Although the attack was foiled by vigilant security operatives, one person lost his life. When people were trying to come to grips with a week-long wanton destructions of life and property, the terrorists struck again. Note also that bandits attacked a Kaduna-bound train carrying over 970 passengers around Katari Rijana Aziz in Kaduna, just a few kilometers to the Gasa train station in the Gabi local government area of Kaduna State. The train derailed after the first wave of attacks. Grenades and RPG were used. They rained bullets on all the coaches. Some passengers were killed, while many sustained bullet wounds. There are reports that some of the passengers were abducted. The terrified passengers only breathed a sign of relief when security agencies arrived and secured the train and the area. It has been a reign of undiluted terror. Note that these latest attacks are aimed at instilling fear in the people and destroying the economies of our local communities. It is disheartening that these enemies of the people are getting emboldened by the day. They are becoming more brazen. These blood-curdling bonfires have no regard for human life. They have no place in civilized society. Note also that unrelenting attacks call to question the strategies and tactics being adopted by security forces. We expected that with the declaration of the bandits as terrorists by a court of competent jurisdictions, they will be degraded in no time. This appears not to be happening. The security forces must reassess their strategies and come up with workable and effective solutions to the menace of terrorists in Kaduna State. Aware that the forests where these terrorists are holding sway are not impregnable, a comprehensive operational plan executed with high sense of professionalism and responsibility, total commitment on the part of our security forces, and the support and cooperation of the local community will rid Kaduna State Forest of these murderous elements. Aware also that security is local, and therefore the advocates of creation of state police to bring law enforcement closer to the people, effective gathering of intelligence, and sustained security operations at the local level will make life uncomfortable for terrorists. They will have no operational base. Once again, draw the attention of the federal government, particularly security agencies comprising the Nigerian police, Nigerian army, and other relevant security agencies to the grave security situation in Kaduna and other states of the Federation. Accordingly, resolve to observe a minute silence for the repose of the soul of loved ones and pray for the safe release of the abducted members of the affected communities. Urge the Army and the Air Force to carry out sustained bombardment of terrorist enclaves with a view to flushing them out and restoring peace and stability to our communities. Direct the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and other relevant government agencies to assist the affected communities with relief materials. Urge our people to remain vigilant and report any suspicious movements of security operatives. Condole the families of victims of the attacks and the government and people of Kaduna State. So move, Mr. President.
The Secretary Senator Suleiman Abdul.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise on a solemn note to second and also support this motion from my very good friend, Senator Ubasani. What is happening today, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is, to say the least, very pathetic. And what was experienced yesterday in Kaduna is something that you would not wish even the worst of your enemies. We found ourselves yesterday entangled, having live chats with people that were caught in the unfortunate incident. And it was really, really scary. Mr. President, one of the women seated with a baby in her arms in that ill-fated train was calling for mercy. She had an aged mother by her side and was pleading that she came only for medical attention. She brought the mother on medical attention in Abuja, and that was what brought them here. And she was pleading for mercy. Instead of giving mercy, Mr. President, she had her head shattered right before other travelers in that train. Fortunately, some of the military personnel that were in the vehicle, in the train, had to induct some people the art of crawling. That was what saved the disastrous outing of that train. And many of them crawled from the VIP coaches to the coaches, the economy coaches, and that was why the casualties recorded could not have been worse. Unfortunately, the drones or other advanced technologies that have been advocated for on this floor in this chamber have not yet been acquired by the government, and the response time was also not good enough for a country like Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we ought as a country to be doing better than we are doing. We need to get our acts together to ensure that peace comes to our country at this very point in time. And we must commend also the effort of the military people, despite the delay in the response time, because they guided the entire 900 plus passengers, except for those that were hijacked, those that were taken in those buses. 4 buses, unfortunately, were used for the transportation of these passengers. But those that were left behind were guided safely to the main road after trekking for 2 hours in the bush, guided by the soldiers. Some of them were backed, according to live account, by the soldiers. Some that could not walk had to be backed or taken on their back, on the backs of soldiers to the main road. So for this, I think the Senate also need to commend the last-minute intervention that came and how they have been able to secure the place. So we need to think deep on all the recommendations in the prayers of this motion, and more than any time before, I think we need to look again more closely to the call for state police, because unless this is done, having a federal police policing our bushes and our roads is something that cannot stand. I thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Senator Barrow Jibrin, represent Kaduna. Mr. President, we are all sad. We are very, very sad. And this is sad commentary on the way we run our security affairs in this country. We are not proactive at all. And in terms of security, you must be proactive. What happened is not surprising to us at all, because we saw it coming. We saw what happened in Kaduna, where NDA was attacked and generals were adopted. That should have been a wake-up call for all of us. It should have been a wake-up call to our security agencies to sit up. I think that was not enough. These criminals, the bandits, the terrorists, had the audacity to attack the airport in Kaduna. And had there been proactive actions were taken when that thing happened, when the attack happened in NDE, at least they will have deployed radar and other instruments to make sure that that never happened again. But our security agencies remain without being proactive, without taking actions to prevent such occurrences happening in that area. And the issue of the attack on the train, a lot of people have been saying that, look, our security agencies should sit up. Even people on the street were saying these terrorists could plant bombs and then kill people, stop the train and kill people, and it happened. You could hear that, on the street, people, saying all this kind of thing before this thing happened. So how can you continue to remain this way? Mr. President, we should call on the security agencies. Yes, those that rescued these people did a good job. But those who have the responsibility of planning, of being proactive, of creating actions that will create a kind of a situation where this kind of thing will be prevented, fail to carry out their duties. And this Senate must call these people and ask them why did they allow this kind of thing to happen. We need to ask them questions. They need to be held accountable, or else this will continue. And it's not good for our nation. Mr. President, I urge every one of us to support this motion. I say submit.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Dr. Gabriel Swam, Benue Northeast. Mr. President, I want to join other colleagues and say that this is indeed a very sad commentary on the security situation of our country. Mr. President, since we were inaugurated here, discussions on the security of our country has taken a large chunk of our discussion here. And I believe and feel that it is time enough for the appropriate authorities to have taken decisive actions to address the security in our country. Mr. President, Kaduna has become the new theater. And Kaduna is where the highest military institutions are housed. Mr. President, I would want to believe that by now it would have been enough time for serious action to have been taken, because this bandit, from all the attacks, seems they are localized in a particular place. And for over 2 years, this has been happening. So there's no way that you can tell any person that the security would not or have not been able to locate or strategize in order to address the security in Kaduna. Mr. President, when the Taliban in Afghanistan wanted to take over the country, they targeted roads, they targeted airports, they targeted rail. Mr. President, it's the same thing that we're witnessing here. Now, the trend that was a bit safe is being attacked now. People will not travel, it affects commerce, it affects transaction, it affects the economy. Mr. President, the roads are equally unsafe. The other day, we heard that around the Kaduna airport, there were attempts by the terrorists to attack the Kaduna airport. Mr. President, we cannot continue like this. And let us call a spade a spade. This is clear failure of leadership. There's no two ways about that. I cannot be sitting as a governor of the state and things are happening and other people are being blamed for it. We cannot continue to do that. This is very serious. Our country is under attack. And so we cannot be pretending that there are other people who are responsible. The leadership of the country should address it. We are leaders here. Majority of us here have held very high positions in government in and out. And so, Mr. President, this is high time that we, as a Senate, should seek. We have said this before. If it means that we meet with the leadership of this country, let us sit down and talk, so that Nigerians can heave a sigh of relief. Otherwise, we have less than a year for our elections. What will you be telling Nigerians? That you want to be re-elected? What will you tell them? Senator Sani, what will Sani go to Kaduna and tell the people? That they should elect him because he was unable to protect them? That applies to all of us. And so, Mr. President, I would like to suggest that there is the absolute need, and very urgent one for that matter, for there to be an emergency declared by the President on security, so that it gives him the power to address the security situation without necessary referring to some of the bureaucracies that might delay some of the action that he wants to take. Otherwise, the tactics of the Taliban is the same tactics that is being used by these bandits who are operating in Kaduna and other parts of the country, Mr. President. And so, Mr. President, as my senators, colleagues from Kaduna have suggested, we sympathize with the families. We commend the action, the prompt response of the army and the police in this situation, Mr. President. Mr. President, finally, I want to urge all of us as leaders, to take interest in what is happening within our respective senatorial districts and indeed within our state. Mr. President, I so submit.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, Senator Benjuma represent Kaduna South. In fact, these are no longer news with us in Kaduna. We have been receiving corpses, killings, raping, kidnapping, almost every day in Kaduna, and no action has been taken. We are very, very good in talking about security. We Nigerians were very, very good at talking about security, but we don't follow up to do the right thing at the right time. The other time, the government were saying that they are going to purchase drones in order to see all the happenings within and outside the town. But up to today, as I'm talking, nothing has been done. If all these things that are happening, that if the government are not aware, what is happening in Kaduna State, I'm sure. I am sure, certainly, they would have tried to eliminate all the problems in Kaduna State. In the whole country, the issue of Kaduna State is the worst. Beside the one of yesterday night, I had over 54. That was last Sunday in my area, my senatorial district, was killed. About 453 houses were burned down to ashes. The number of people that came there just to do this attack were more than hundreds. There were almost 1,000 plus. You are living in a country. See this kind of thing coming your way. What will it say? And we're having all military men, police, name them, all over the country. Nothing can be done. And you will tell us that we're living in a country, Nigeria, that people were so proud of in those good days, that Nigeria had the best military in this country, in this world. If we are talking, we will talk more beautiful than any other person. But to put in action, we cannot do it. This is a situation, all of us, I did mention this some other time. I said all of us seated here, one day, they will finish us. They will finish us because they will start looking after us, running after us, and nowhere to run to. Even if we run to anybody to help us, they'll say we are the cause of all this. We don't talk out. Now we have been talking. No action is done. Sir, Mr. President, there must be an urgent action should be taken immediately to solve all this problem. Because Kaduna is the center of all the happenings. If the governor is short of manpower to help, let him cry it out. Most of us here that are not even in Kaduna, Kaduna has been occupied by non-indigenous. My own, I have to talk out because people will not know what actually is happening unless you are very close. And those that are living in Kaduna can tell you more about the happenings right now. If we are here talking, everybody will say things are just okay. Things are not okay. In Kaduna in person, the Kaduna town and Kaduna state as a whole, no day they don't kill over 300 in a day. Every blessed day, no day that they don't kill souls more than 300. It's so pathetic, honestly. Something has to be done immediately. We, those that are from there, we know what is happening. And it tells us, no matter how we cry out here, nothing will be done. Please, my colleagues, we should come out in full force to speak out. Even the speaking, we should limit the way we talk. As we are talking, the bandits, they are getting all what we are saying, and they can always strategize on how to go about it. We should minimize, have a room, a secret room for this discussion. Because these people, they are faster than us. And
Mr. Mushikaranda, please. Thank you, Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Ali Sabi Abdullahi. I represent Niger North. Mr. President, let me join my other colleagues in this very solemn moment of the very unfortunate incident as reported from Kaduna State. As it is, Mr. President, the last speakers, especially those from the affected states, have clearly shown the narrative of the security situation. And of course, in this Hello Chamber, we've had cause to all discuss various incidents of security breaches affecting our various senatorial districts. And of course, we should also recall that as a Senate, we have done a very robust engagement
with reports on the need to look at the security architecture and many other recommendations that we have given. But I think, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, one fact that we must deduce at this moment is the fact that all the reports is showing clearly that we sit down why the terrorists decide to bring the attacks against our unarmed, innocent citizens. And I think it is safe and right, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to conclude that terrorists have declared war against Nigeria, and I think it is time for Nigeria to declare war against these terrorists. Mr. President, we shouldn't allow this situation to continue where we lay back, they come to attack, then we repel, we try to do damage control and the like. I think it is time for these terrorists to be seriously taken as a national security threat, and we should declare a war against them forthwith, so that, like the last speaker said, some of the discussions we are having here are not even healthy for a successful or effective security strategy. I believe if this is done, those who know best how to tackle these issues should not be given the wherewithal to do the needful. Because in many instances, you will get the report that we have not been given order. We have not been given order. So I think if a war is declared on these terrorists, the question of giving order will no longer be an excuse. And of course, they are resident within this territorial integrity or the territory called Nigeria. And I believe we know where they are. We know the routes they follow. In many instances, they drive for 1 hour, 2 hours, with villages calling to say, we've seen them gathering here, they are moving in this direction. So I think it's something we can really, trace. We know where they are. And I think it is high time that we declare war on them because they've declared war on our country. Thank you, Mr. President.
We'll go to the prayers, please. Accordingly, the Senate resolves to observe a minute's silence for the reports of the souls of our loved ones and pray for the safe release of the abducted members of the affected communities. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against any say aye. Prayer 2, urge the Army and the Air Force to carry out sustained bombardment of terrorist enclaves with a view to flushing them out and restoring peace and stability to our communities. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against any say aye. Prayer 3, direct the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, National Emergency Management Agency and other relevant government agencies to assist the affected communities with the relief materials. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against any say aye. Prayer 4, urge our people to remain vigilant and report any suspicious movements to security operatives. Those in favor of prayer 4 say aye. Those against any say aye. And prayer 5, condole the families of the victims of the attacks on the government and the good people of Kaduna State. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against any say aye. Thank you very much. Senator Kabiriga.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm Kabiriga, representing the people of Kano South from Kano State. Mr. President, based on our discussions here today and the issue raised, I want to add additional prayer. It says that I accordingly resolve to urge the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces to declare full-scale war against these terrorists so as to fully secure all our national territory from these terrorists in whatever sense. Thank you.
Any seconder? Senator Khalid Barkia. Those in favor of the additional prayer by Senator Kabir Gabe say aye. Those against any say aye. Senator Barau Jibril.
Barau Jibril Kano North. Urge our security agencies to take steps to prevent this kind of incidents to happen in the future. I so move.
But if you look at prayer 2, what is in prayer 2? It's saying, urge the army and the air force to carry out sustained bombardment of terrorist enclaves. Is that okay, or we will still go ahead with that?
Mine is to make sure that there's proactiveness on the part of our military.
I need a seconder. Senator Francis Lemakina.
I rise to second the additional prayer moved by Senator Jibri. I so move.
Essentially, those in favor of the additional prayer by Senator Barrow Jibrin say aye. Those against any other side. Additional Senator Sumata Dean.
Well, Mr. President, just to put it on record.
Oh, it's supposed to be additional prayer. Not record, because we have finished debate. Okay.
I want to put it this way, that the federal government, the Nigerian military should be urged to take special attention of the security within and vicinity of the airport. There are new buildings springing up, shanty buildings towards the Abuja, descending to Abuja airport now. You see so many new buildings in the vicinity of the airport. My fear is some of them, nobody can identify those who are putting out these new structures, and they are just boxes structures. So the airport deserves special attention now more than ever before. So it's just to urge the military to put special focus on the vicinity of Nigerian airports, especially Abuja airport.
Well, I think I would suggest that we don't give that to the military. The Federal Airports Authority is supposed to, no, they don't have, but they are supposed to be in charge of the security. So let them get everybody together to ensure this. Because if you leave that to the military, they still have to go to the airport. FAN or who is in charge of the airports? The airport. Okay. I need a seconder. Senator Jibrin.
Sorry, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to support or to second the additional prayer as ably moved by my distinguished colleague, Senator Smart Adeyemi.
Okay, distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the additional prayer by Senator Smart Adeyemi say aye. Those against any other side. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Additional prayer.
Sorry, sir. Your Excellency, sir, my additional prayer goes thus. Urge the relevant agencies of the government to step up their information gathering mechanism to forestall these incessant occurrences.
I need a seconder. Senator Bellamandi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the additional prayer as ably moved by Senator Jibril. I so move.
The same for those in favor of the additional prayer by Senator Jibril say aye. Those against any other side. Secretariat, you please get all those additional prayers correctly, please, reflected. Thank you. Leader of the Senate. We observe 1 minute silence first, please. Distinguished colleagues. 1 minute silence. May the souls of our departed compatriots rest in perfect peace. Amen. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of House Bill standing in my name on the Counseling Practitioners Council of Nigeria Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Counseling Practitioners Council of Nigeria Bill 2022, HB 409, first reading.
Counseling Practitioners Council of Nigeria Bill 2022, HB 409, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the Federal Medical Center of Oja, Cross River State Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Medical Center of Oja, Cross River State Establishment Bill 2022, SB 276, first reading.
Federal Medical Center of Oja, Cross River State Establishment Bill 2022, HB 276, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Chukwuka Utazi on the Chartered Polymer Institute of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Chartered Polymer Institute of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2022, SB 903, first reading.
Chartered Polymer Institute of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2022, SB 903, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Mukhail Adetukumbo Abiru on the Franchising Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Franchising Establishment Bill 2022, SB 969, first reading.
Franchising Establishment Bill 2022, SB 969, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of the distinguished Senator Ibikule Amosu on the Hazardous and Electronic Waste Control and Management Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Hazardous and Electronic Waste Control and Management Bill 2022, SB 971, first reading.
Hazardous and Electronic Waste Control and Management Bill 2022, SB 971, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the second reading of an executive bill standing in my name on the Nigeria Startup Bill 2022. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read in this great chamber, the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 23rd March 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to grant me permission to move the motion the second time.
You may proceed, Leader.
Distinguished colleagues, this is a lead debate on the Nigeria Startup Bill 2022. Permit me to lead this debate on this bill, which is tagged Nigeria Startup Bill 2022, which is a Senate bill. Recall that the bill was read the first time in this great chamber on Wednesday, 23rd March 2022. Startup is generally associated with young, innovative, high-tech companies or new businesses that leverage on technology to solve a problem or pinpoint a segment or a population that requires some intervention. The bill seeks to create an enabling environment for startups, an environment that values innovation and encourages initiatives needed for the growth of the economy as a whole. The future of Nigeria belongs to the youth, and this is evident in the startup ecosystem, which is dominated by our youth creative solutions to numerous problems confronting this country. As of 2018, 76% of Nigerian ventures were creating jobs at an average of 9 full-time employees per venture, and 56% of the employees hired were between the ages of 12 and 35 years. Startups are increasingly playing a critical role in the world's socio-economic development through development of innovation and aiding the optimization of current economic sectors. Startups focus on solving problems through new technology and cutting-edge innovation. Furthermore, due to their unique rapid growth model, over a short period of time, startups have a high capacity of quality job creation. In Africa, Tunisia and Senegal have noticed the potential of startups to support rapid socio-economic development and have already enacted laws to recognize, support, and regulate startup activities in their countries. Currently, there is no regulatory framework in Nigeria. The bill therefore seeks to provide that legislative framework. That framework fosters a culture of innovative thinking and entrepreneurship. It's a framework that promotes a benevolent environment for the establishment, development, conduct of business and regulation for startups. It's a framework that is for the establishment of incubation facilities at all levels of government and environment and promote the establishment of startups. And it's a framework for the monitoring and evaluation of the legal and regulatory framework and mechanisms put in place to encourage the development of startups. The benefits of the bill, when enacted as an act of the National Assembly, will, among other things, one, help develop our people in the technology space and encourage innovation coming from within. In this way, local content is prioritized and protected. Nigeria's startups have often found creative solutions to complement efforts of the government amid uncertain business environments, thereby fashioning a wide range of labor opportunities. There have been technology-centric innovations to problems in education, finance, healthcare, transportation, hospitality sectors. For instance, agri-tech has employed 35% of the Nigerian labor force, according to the World Bank data in 2019. 2. Make Nigeria #1 in Africa and make Nigeria's startup ecosystem stand close to global incumbents such as the US, China, and India. Some African countries, such as Tunisia and Senegal, as I said earlier, have passed startup acts, while others like Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, and Ethiopia are on the verge of creating a similar legislation. This act means Nigeria needs to take the leadership role of developing this law, as it is critical to its economic dominance of the continent. 3. Better regulatory certainty is required so that laws and policies that affect startups provide much more clarity. For instance, in India, through regulatory certainty and government being deliberately supportive of the startup ecosystem, India's startups raised $23 billion across 1,000 funding deals in 9 months. This is the type of story we would love to tell concerning Nigeria's startup ecosystem. We have also seen a few startups attain unicorn status, i.e., attain a market valuation of over $1 billion. In the last 2 years, startups in Nigeria have created 5 unicorns and attracted over $1.04 billion in funding and financing from various financiers across the world. Investigations reveal that while these startups may be expanding and growing their businesses, they face a lot of uncertainty regarding laws as well as the business climate, which are inadequate incentives to encourage them to expand into different parts of Nigeria, Africa, and even globally. 4. Enhance Nigeria's economic growth rate using Nigeria Bureau of Statistics 2020 Gross Domestic Product Report. The non-oil sector has mainly driven by information and communication technology and financial institutions. The two major sectors of technology startups fall under these areas. In summary, the ICT sector in Nigeria has grown from less than 1% to over 10% of GDP in 2020. Recent statistics show that Nigeria has roughly 3,300 tech-enabled startup companies and over 200 of them operating as financial tech. This shows potential for growth within the sector that can experience exponential growth when there is a law such as the Nigerian State Act Bill geared towards value attraction and protection of investment in startups. And finally, enhance state competitiveness through distributed development of startups across states. Lagos State alone has almost 2,000 technology startups, all tackling issues ranging from payment processing, digital inclusion, tourism and travel, entertainment, the fashion industry, pensions, biomedical research and development, etc. The state dubbed as African Silicon Valley is home to many of the startups attracting young entrepreneurs, investors, and the next big global solutions. While we acknowledge the booming startup operation ecosystem in Lagos, we believe that other states can become creative nodes, creative hubs, and investment destinations for startups. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, this Nigerian startup bill presents an opportunity for both sides of the ecosystem, government and private sector, to engage with each other. There is a seemingly a trust deficit within the economic system, which makes startups worry of regulation. This issue needs to be resolved, and it can only be resolved legislatively. While Nigerian startup bill adopted a collaborative framework for engagement with the called the Big Tent approach, where everybody is brought together in one tent, the opportunity to strengthen social cohesion within the investment ecosystem can further be promoted through areas of the bill such as engagement portal that brings everybody together so that everybody will be able to talk to one another, when these startup businesses are promoted and supported. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I salute your support for the second reading of this bill, which is designed to regulate and to enhance the opportunities of our youth to engage in the economic system by bringing new businesses and new initiatives for the development of our national economy. I so submit, Mr. President.
Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I rise up to support this bill and to recommend it for second reading. I want to thank the Senate leader for bringing up this bill. Distinguished colleagues, micro, small, medium enterprises form the bedrock of industrial development in civilized and commercially advanced countries. And these enterprises emerge from startups. But because they exist in environments that support startups, they have been able to make impact on the economic development of those countries. Distinguished colleagues, let me give you an example. In the Federal Industrial Research Agency of FIRO, there are over 250 completed projects ready for commercialization. But because the mandates of those agencies do not allow them to go into commercialization, some of these, or most of them, are lying on the shelf. If there is a law that creates an environment for startups, some of these projects will be taken up, and they're going to contribute to the economic development of our country. We have very good examples. The beer we drink today in Nigeria is made from sorghum and maize. When FIRO developed this technology, they brewed a beer called Famous Beer. Famous means Federal Ministry of Science and Technology bear. It was rejected. There was no means of developing into a technology accepted by the country. The brewing industry rejected it. They complained that their machines would not be able to take sorghum. It was the then head of state, Obasanjo, that insisted that this technology must be adopted. And that has saved Nigeria billions of dollars that we now do not have to import barley to brew our beers in this country. Mr. President, I think this is the right time for us, that we are looking at ways of diversification of our economy to encourage startups by putting in place the right environment for startups to exist. This is one of the ways we can unlock the potentials of our youth to create their own contribution to the development of this country. I therefore support this bill and encourage my colleagues to support it for second reading. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Smartadine.
Mr. President, I rise to support this bill, and I want to commend the Senate leader for bringing up this bill. There is no doubt, Mr. President, that this, the way the Asian nations started, and today they seem to be dominating the world. More than ever before, this is the time for us to be looking at how to encourage the younger generations with their great ideas and innovations so that they can have a major breakthrough. There is no doubt, Mr. President, that this is a bill, a law that is long overdue, and I have no doubt in my mind that all of us here in this chamber, we not only support this bill but commend the idea of bringing out the bill that is aimed at encouraging a new generation and giving focus to technological development of our nation. More importantly, Mr. President, at this time in history, when oil is gradually becoming a second source of revenue to most nations of the world, what drives the world today is technology. Technology is what dominates the world in virtually in all aspects of human endeavor. So there's no doubt, Mr. President, that any law that is put in place that will encourage our growth in technological development must be a welcome idea and welcome bill to all of us. Mr. President, having said this, let me call it say, Mr. President, that Nigeria is a nation that is endowed. We're endowed with all that it takes to make our nation a giant in the field of technology. Taking a look at quite a number of Nigerians that have excelled in the field of technology in Europe and in Asia. There are history and records of Nigerians who came out with innovations, unprecedented innovation in various aspects of technology. If you talk about the computer science, you will see Nigerians. You talk about the automobiles. The Nigerians have made a landmark achievement in their chosen career. To me, Mr. President, not talk of agri-tech, which according to the World Bank, 35% of Nigerian labor force, according to the World Bank in 2019, came from agri-tech. Mr. President, this bill is a bill that deserves all our support. And finally, Mr. President, while supporting this bill, I must equally add, Mr. President, that Iron and Steel Complex in Ajakuta is key to technological development of our nation. When we talk about putting a law in place for a start-off, we must equally be looking at how we can encourage the completion of Iron and Steel Complex Ajakuta, which to me, Mr. President, is fundamental to technological development of our nation. Looking at, apart from the workforce that will be gainfully employed under the Iron and Steel Complex Ajakuta when completed, the fact remains that the technological development of our nation rests on the nation resolve to make sure that Iron and Steel Complex Ajakuta is completed. When that is completed, Mr. President, it will complement and enhance all that this bill seeks to achieve. I say once again, Mr. President, this bill is a welcome bill. It should be supported by all of us. Iron and Steel Complex is key to the takeover, technological development of our nation, I so submit, Mr. President.
The Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Aliu Sabi Abdullahi. I represent Niger North. Mr. President, the issue of startup is long overdue for Nigeria. And I must say that the startup bill we are talking about is focusing on Nigeria's digital economy, where information and communication technology will be the key drivers. Mr. President, Nigeria over the years has found itself associated with an unfortunate name, the so-called Yahoo Yahoo, which many experts have alluded to the fact that we have that situation because our youth who acquire knowledge in ICT do not have enough platforms to showcase their talent and show what they are capable of doing. And I want to say that this startup bill, which is targeting the digital economy, is a solution to this issue of Yahoo Yahoo. And let me say that I will expect, when this bill finally becomes law, that its operation will gradually ensure and guarantee a reduction in cybercrime, because a platform has been provided for people to do what the EFCC in one of its campaigns has always said, I am legit. This is a platform for Nigerian youth to be legit in what they do, in showcasing the talents they have as far as the issue of ICT is concerned. Mr. President, it's my hope and wish that we'll be able to pass this bill very, very soon, so that it will be given presidential assent because it's an executive bill, and I believe in doing so, we are providing another platform for the millions of Nigerian youths who are there doing their hustle, and they believe that, yes, it should be legit. Mr. President, with these few comments, I urge my colleagues to support that this bill be read the second time. Mr. President, I so submit.
Senator Issa Jibrin.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to lend my voice to this very important bill. Your Excellency, Nigeria has a pool of very intelligent young men and women with all forms of innovations and creativity, but they do not have money to start their businesses. Usually, commercial banks shy away from funding such ventures. Mr. President, I want to urge the federal government to set up a venture capital company. Venture capital projects usually entails high risks, but also have high returns. The federal government should set up a venture capital company under the management of Central Bank of Nigeria. Okay, and I also want to urge the federal government to give tax concessions to such ventures so that they can be nurtured into sustainable levels. Thank you very much.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the creation and development of an enabling environment for technology-enabled startups in Nigeria and for related matters, 2022, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the creation and development of an enabling environment for technology-enabled startups in Nigeria and for related matters, 2022, second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee on ICT and Cyber Security to report by within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the second reading of the Federal University of Technology Akwa Ibom Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this great chamber on Tuesday, 29 June 2021. Mr. President, we wish to invite distinguished Senator Albert Basi Akpan to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Albert Basi Akpan, Akwa Northeast Oba.
Thank you, our performing president, my distinguished and respected colleagues. This is the lead debate on the Federal University of Technology Akwa Ibom State Establishment, ETC Bill 2021 SB 755. Your Excellency, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues, it is my honor and privilege to lead this debate on the Federal University of Technology Akwa Ibom State Establishment Bill 2021. This bill was read for the first time June 29, 2021. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, today most governments are emphasizing indigenous technology as priority in their industrialization policies. The establishment and University of Technology at Akwa Ibom State is primarily conceived in this context, as the university is expected to identify indigenous technologies, problems, and needs of Nigerian society and solve them within the context of national needs. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, as a background to the establishment of the university, a State College of Science and Technology Assessment Bill was recently passed into law by the Akwa Ibom State Government House of Assembly, setting the pace for the establishment of a Federal University of Technology to support and complement the college in terms of research and training. The presidential approval in June 2021 for the establishment of Federal University of Technology at Akwa Ibom State is thereby timely and further underscores government proactive moves to create avenues first for the employability of young people through good education and skills impartation. This bill therefore seeks to fully establish, enhance, and restructure the technological potential of Akwa Ibom State by providing professional programs leading to the award of certificate, diplomas, first degree, and postgraduate degrees in engineering, applied technological sciences, technology business management, and other fields of science technology studies, as approved by the National University Commission. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, the objectives include to act as agent and catalyst to postgraduate training, research, and innovation for effective and economic utilization, exploitation, and conservation of Nigeria's natural, economic, and human resources, to identify indigenous technology problems and needs of Nigerian society and solve them within the context of national needs, to establish appropriate relationship which will provide and promote sound basic scientific training reflecting indigenous culture and enhancing national unity, to become the fountain of technological research and training for the oil and gas industry in Nigeria, to actualize the dreams of the present administration, to provide a budget dedicated for the...
Chief, submit noisy, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. To actualize the dreams of the present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, to provide a budget dedicated for the training and middle and higher technical manpower, to mainstream industrial development efforts, and to address and upgrade indigenous technologically development and innovations. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, there is no way we can grow as a nation when we continue to buy everything without producing anything. The establishment of the Federal University of Technology at Akwa Ibom State will specifically drive the value chain of manufacturing and production. Mr. President and my respected colleagues, I urge you to support the prompt passage of this bill for the second reading, as the objectives of the bill as articulated above are supporters of its mission and broad vision of a modern institution that will cause technological and industrial revolution of Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria at large, and Nigerian society at large, by producing graduates whose engineering education will basically gear towards indigenous industrial applications. In line with Order 71.3 of the Senate Standing Rule 2021 as amended, which requires that a compendium of background information and financial implications shall accompany every bill. I attach herewith the financial implication for the establishment of the Federal Bureau of Technology at Akwa Ibom State. For the information of Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I urge you all, Mr. President and your colleagues, to please pass this bill for a second reading. I so submit.
Distinguished Senator Okoye-Akinyi.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, God.
I'm Senator Okoye-Akinyi, representing Akwa Ibom South Senatorial District. I stand here to support distinguished Senator Basi Albert, my brother, for leading this debate on the Federal University of Technology at Akwa Ibom State. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to say that this bill is very important, is apt. The establishment of the University of Technology in Akwa Ibom State, if this bill goes through the second reading and subsequently the third to be passed into law, will help the smooth running of the institution. The approval gotten from the federal, from FEC, it's a proof that the government of the day is interested in what happens to the state, at the state level. The objectives of this bill, Mr. President, has been clearly stated here, and the institution will help in research that will identify what will be relevant to the people. And so I want to strongly support the passage of this bill, and also ask that my colleagues should support the bill to pass through second reading. I so support. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Christopher Stephen Ekpeyong, Akwa Ibom Northwest.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, my name is Senator Christopher Stephen Ekpeyong. I represent the good people of Akwa Ibom Northwest in this hallowed chamber. Mr. President, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to support this late debate presented by my distinguished colleague, Senator Albert Basi Akpan, otherwise known as Oba. He's spending seriously for his thoughtfulness in ensuring that we work together to ensure that we have the enabling law that will back up the establishment of the Federal University of Technology in Akwa Ibom State. I want to also take this opportunity, Mr. President of the Senate, and my distinguished colleague, to thank Mr. President, even though I am on this side in this Senate, but you who are on that side, and Mr. President thought it necessary as a nationalist to provide one of such universities amongst about the four that he established recently, one of them to be cited in Akwa Ibom State. So we are seeking for an enabling law that will enable the University of Technology to take off effectively
I Akwa deserve more than even that. I thought that my distinguished colleague was going to ask for more of the Federal University of Technology. But be that as it may, that he has asked for enabling law, Mr. President, I think it is not anything to be overlabored. So I am in sync and in phase, of course, with him in all the propositions he has made and the request he has submitted to this honorable chamber, or honorable chamber, that we should consider this appeal for the making of a law to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology in Akwa Ibom State. I still support Mr. President, my distinguished colleague.
Senator Matthew Urogide.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Senator Matthew Urogide. I represent Edo South. Mr. President, I wholeheartedly support this bill. But the problem I have with this bill is the title. If the title can be changed because the university cannot be located in the state, it creates a problem. University of Technology Akwa Ibom State. It has to be, no, it is a location in Akwa Ibom. Either it's Uyo or Ikote Pene. Yes, that title has to be changed. It must be located somewhere. It cannot be located all over the state. That is my observation. Yes, you correct that. All right, thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this will be now read the second time. Okay, before then, there's an amendment that I will propose. No, somebody will have to move. I think Senator Gabriel will move for the amendment, right? And you second, Senator Sabo Nakuru will second the amendment. So we need to mention a specific community rather than Akwa Ibom State. It should be Federal University of Technology, not Akwa Ibom State, Ikotak Basi, then Akwa Ibom State. Okay, Senator Suso.
Mr. President, I want to move for an amendment to the effect that the location of the Federal University should be, proposed Federal University should be located at a specific location. And yes, I'm coming to that now. A specific location, and that location should be Ikoda Basi. Mr. President, I so propose.
Senator Savonoku.
Mr. President, I second the amendment so moved by Senator Suswan.
Okay, distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be now read a second time as amended be read a second time, say aye. Those against say nay. As a flag of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Technology, Ikot Abasi, Akwa Ibom State, and for other matters connected here with 2022. Second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Technology, Ikot Abasi, Akwa Ibom State, and for other matters connected there with 2022. Second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions. In respect of A, petition from Dr. Muiz Banire San on behalf of Kazuma Shipping Company Limited against the Nigerian Army for alleged trespass, hijacking and stealing of over 19 acres of land beside the Army Signals Barracks, Mile 2, Apapa Lagos, belonging to Kazuma Shipping Company Limited. B, petition from Chief Eina Onebu KSC, Knight of St. Christopher, on behalf of 73 communities of Obiafu, Soku to Boni in River State against the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas Limited for refusing to pay compensation for acquiring their land and loss of use of the affected land to pipeline right of way through the communities. C. Petition from Mr. Pewe Philip Kinde against the Nigerian Security and Meeting Company Limited, PLC, for wrongful termination of his appointment. And finally, D. Petition from Sopana S. Ogidi of Meningoi and Company on behalf of Madam Abinami Sunday and Madam Sister Friday Obi and the entire Odao community against Shell Petroleum Development Company Limited, Nigerian Arab Oil Company, and the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSIRDA, for alleged destruction of cash crops, economic twists, discretion of destruction of shrines, etc., due to construction of gas pipeline right of way undertaken by the UDN 47 and Nigerian Arab Oil Company at Mbiama base without compensation. Mr. President, we may wish to invite distinguished Senator Patrick Ayo Akinlelue to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the reports of the committee.
Distinguished Senator Patrick Ayo Akinlelue, before you listen, I think our reports, when you take the reports, will really have very abridged this so that we keep to our time. All right, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name remains Senator Ayo Akinlelue, representing Ondo Central. Mr. President, I rise to move that the Senate do receive, consider the report of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions in respect of one petition from Dr. Muniz Banire, SAN, on behalf of Kasuma Shipping Company Limited against the Nigerian Army for alleged trespass, hijacking and stealing of 19 acres of land beside the Nigerian Army Signal Barrack, Matro Apapa, Lagos, belonging to Kasuma Shipping Company Limited. B. Petition from Chief Eyina Onebu, KSC, on behalf of 73 communities of Biafu, Soku to Boni, in River State against Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, NLNG, for refusing to pay compensation for acquiring their land and loss of use of affected land to pipeline rights of way to the communities. C. Petition from Mr. Pewe Phillips Kinde against the Nigerian Security Printing and Meeting PLC for wrongful termination of his appointment. And finally, Mr. President, D. Petition from Sopana S. Ogidi of Minigori and Company on behalf of Madam Abba Ebinami Sunday and Madam Sunday, Sister Friday Obi, and entirely Odau community against Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC, Nigeria Ajib Oil Company, NAOC, and Nigeria OSP Detection and Response Agency, NOSDRA, for alleged destruction of cash flow, economic tree, destruction of trains, etc., due to construction of gas pipeline right of way undertaken by DEWU DN47 and NAOC at Mbiana base without compensation. Mr. President, I so move.
I need a seconder. The minority whip.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion as ably moved by the chairman public petition that these petitions be received and sent to the appropriate committee for consideration. I so second.
Minority whip. You are welcome.
Sorry, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I wish to withdraw the earlier statement and to say that the Senate do consider these petitions. I so second. Reports. Receive and consider.
It's not your fault. when the chairman of public accounts is by your side. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the reports of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, the respect of reports A, B, C, and D, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Please, you may lay the reports. You may present the report one after the other.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name remains Senator Joaquin Elwe, representing Ondo Central. Report of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions in respect of petition from Dr. Muniz Banire, SAN, on behalf of Kasuma Shipping Company Limited against Nigerian Army for alleged trespass, hijacking and stealing of over 90 acres of land beside Army Signal Barrack, Mile 2 Apapa, Lagos, belonging to Kasuma Shipping Company Limited. The Senate will record that on Wednesday, 18 December 2021, Chairman of the committee rose on order 41 to lay petition referred to his committee from the office of the President of the Senate, and drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from Dr. Muniz Banire, SAN, on behalf of Kasuma Shipping Company Limited against Nigerian Army for alleged trespass, hijacking and stealing of 19 acres of land beside Army Barracks Signal, Mile 2 Apapa, Lagos, belonging to Kasuma Shipping Company Limited. I urge the Senate to look into the matter. In line with this order, in line with Order 43 of 2022 Senate Standing Rule as amended, the Senate referred the matter to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions for investigation and further legislative actions. Mr. President, after careful studying the submissions of both the respondents and the petitioner, the committee came out with the following findings and observations on page 7. After carefully studying the presentation made by Dr. Muniz Banire, SAN, and the representative of Nigerian Army, Lieutenant Colonel D. Biambo, the committee observes as follows. 1. That Kasuma Shipping Company Limited purchased a portion of land measuring about 19 acres of land out of the whole parcel of land measuring 20.652 hectares or 51.0323 acres from the children of late John St. Matthew Daniel, his client presidential title in 2002. 2. That the whole parcel of land was located beside the Army Signal Barrack, Mile 2 Apapa, Lagos. 3. That the ownership of the whole parcel of land has been a subject of litigation up to Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, in its judgment in suit number SC/CA/71, declared that the large expanse of land measuring 20.652 acres of land and bordering the Nigerian Army Signal Barrack at Apapa, Lagos, belonged to the family of late John St. Matthew Daniel, his client's procedural entitled. 4. That there was a documented evidence that the High Court of Lagos State, in its judgment in suit number LD/2659/91, between the family of the late John St. Matthew Daniel and the Nigerian Army, ruled that the entire parcel of land disputed over belonged to the family of late John St. Matthew Daniel, and that the Nigerian Army should hand over the land to the family. 5. That there was documented evidence that the Nigerian Army appealed the judgment of the High Court in appeal number CA/L/79M10 in 2015, and the appeal was withdrawn by the Nigerian Army. 6. That the Nigerian Army did not make any document available to the Committee on Ethics buttressing its title to the parcel of land, or any court document, provided that the Army was in court with anybody to contest the ownership of the said parcel of land. 7, that in compliance with the High Court of Lagos State judgment, the Nigerian Army handed over the land measuring about 20.652 acres or 51.0323 acres and bordering the Nigerian Army signal, Barrack, Apapa, Lagos, to the family of late John St. Matthew Daniel in a handover note reference NA/412/A and dated 3rd April 2002, which the representative of the Nigerian Army, Major General S.E. Asemota, and the family of late John St. Matthew Daniel duly signed. 8, that the Nigerian Army did a second handing over to the family after withdrawing his suit from appeal court against the family in 2011, and the handing over note reference number NA/COAS/D4/767/1 dated 15 August 2011, and Brigadier General S.J. Davis and Mr. Agbola and Joe representing the Nigerian Army and the family of late John St. Matthew Daniel respectively signed the handover note. And 9, that for the Nigerian Army to further encroach into the land and be claiming its ownership after a Supreme Court judgment, an official handing over on 2 occasions by itself to the family of late John St. Matthew Daniel tantamount to high level of greed, impunity, and recklessness, especially for using gun to threaten ordinary citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to vacate a land they legitimately own. Recommendation, Mr. President. Based on the findings above, the committee hereby recommend as follows. 1, that the Senate do urge the Chief of Army Staff to use his good office to direct his men to unconditionally and permanently vacate the entire parcel of land measuring about 20.652 acres or 51.0323 acres and bordering the Nigerian Army signal, Papa, Lagos, and officially hand over finally for the 3rd time to the family of late John St. Matthew Daniel in line with Supreme Court judgment without further delay. And 2, that the Senate do urge the Nigerian Army to also unconditionally and permanently vacate the entire land and allow Kasuma Shipping Company Limited to enjoy henceforth 19 acres of land, being a portion of the entire parcel of land measuring 20.652 acres, purchased from the family of late Johnson Matthew Daniel in 2002. His predecessor entitled. Conclusion, Mr. President, I so submit for consideration by the Senate. Thank you.
Any comments? Otherwise, we'll go to the recommendations. Recommendation 1, and we're dealing with the first report. That those in favor of recommendation 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 2. Those in favor of recommendation 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Go to the next report, but you don't have to read everything, please. It's taking time.
Thank you, Mr. President. This second one is a referral. Second referral. I will just take the brief, so that members and colleagues can understand the base of our report. Report of Committee on Ethics, Privilege and Public Petitions, respect of petition from. No, I think the second one is. Okay, it is. Report of Committee on Ethics, Privilege and Public Petitions, respect of petition from Chief Eyina Nnebukiesi on behalf of 73 communities of Obiafu, Soku and Boni in Rivers State against the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas NLNG for refusing to pay compensation for acquiring their land and loss of use of affected land to pipeline rights of way through the community. Mr. President, the Senate will record that on Wednesday, 26 January 2022, it considered the report of the Committee on Ethics and Privileges in respect of a petition from Chief Eyina Nnebukiesi on behalf of 73 communities of Obiafu, Soku to Boni in Rivers State against Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas Limited for refusing to pay compensation for acquiring their land and loss of use of the affected land to pipeline right of way through their communities, and resolved that the clerk of the Senate should invite NLNG to appear before the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions within 7 days from the date of the letter to enable the Senate know whether NLNG has agreed to pay 18.4 billion demanded as compensation by the 73 Committee for Rights of Way not paid for, or show proof that it had never paid compensation. Mr. President, after the Senate letter to NLNG, they came with proofs of some payments as contained in our report. But however, Mr. President, if you look at number 7 of our findings, the committee is of number 6 of our findings, 6 and 7 of our findings, that though NLNG confessed that the payment were made long ago, I could not reasonably trace most of the payment document, but promised to look for further evidence to show that it paid stakeholder concerned if given another 1 month to enable them to do so. The committee considered their request as unnecessary and unreasonable, having granted NLNG 1 month earlier instead of 7 days allowed by the Senate at the plenary to conclude this report. Mr. President, that the committee is of the opinion that since the evidence provided cover few communities instead of individuals and families, out of 73 communities and 200 families, it follows that only part of the 210 kilometers of the land has been paid for, and therefore NLNG be advised to pay the balance of 18.3 billion after deducting 74.6 million from the initial claim of the petitioner to the affected community in the interest of justice and fair play to safeguard the remaining pipeline right of way from being destroyed by the aggrieved communities. Based on the above findings, Mr. President, the committee hereby recommends as follows: that the Senate do urge the Nigerian liquefied natural gas limited to pay 18.374199.727 to the remaining 34 communities and other individuals and families yet to be paid. And 2, that the Senate do urge NLNG as a matter of urgency to enter into a MOU with the host community on future obligations in form of corporate social responsibilities. I so move, Mr. President, for consideration.
Any comments? Yes, Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, my only one single observation, sir, is that the amount of money that they are requesting is quite huge, and we should be very, very careful. And in line with the observation that the committee had made, number 6 on page 9, that although the LNG confessed that the payments were made long time ago, I could not reasonably trace most of the payment documents, but we promised to look for further evidence to show that it paid stakeholders concerned, if given another 1 month to do so. The committee declined to agree to that 1 month request by the energy. But for me, in view of the humongous amount involved, which is about 18 billion, I would suggest that the committee or this Senate please with the committee to grant NLG this amount of time, 1 month that it wanted, because the amount of money is so huge. And for us to commit an institution of government to pay 18 billion now, after it had paid compensation before, which at the value of 74 million that it paid at that time, is quite a lot of money. At the time when it paid them, consider the amount of money now. I think it's better to give the company more time so that they will be able to check their records and come up with a good record of the payment. If they fail to do so after that 1 month, then the committee can come back and take an appropriate action for this Senate.
Any other comment? Well, I tend to agree with the leader. This money is huge, and we would like to just pass a resolution that eventually will not be complied with. So if NLNG is asking for 1 month, I think we should be patient enough and gracious enough and magnanimous enough to give them the 1 month, and then let them, after the 1 month, comply with this, whatever it is. But I believe that we don't have to deny them the time they are asking for, since they are showing willingness. But Chairman, maybe you have something to add.
Mr. President, well, we have given them more than enough times, but nevertheless, Mr. President, if the Senate is writing them with a proviso that if they don't have further evidence, they should come with a proposal to resolve this matter permanently with the community, because they confess to us that they don't have further evidence, the evidence are lost. And I told them, I said, evidence of payment for land should not be lost if you actually made the payment. And therefore, Mr. President, that's why we consider unreasonable. However, since the Senate has resolved to give them another 1 month, when we are writing them with a proviso that if they don't have further evidence, they could come with a proposal to resolve the community, because this pipeline is very significant and important to Nigeria. Because if the people went and go ahead to go and vandalize it, it will be penny wise and pass foolish. And we are in the Senate. We don't want it like that. So they should come with a proposal to the Senate that this is how they want to resolve it. So that is my position, Mr. President, sir. In case they don't have further evidence, and if the evidence they are bringing is not substantial, they should come with a proposal to resolve with the community, so that.
Well, it's okay. We'll give them the 1 month they're asking for, and I don't think we just have to. We have to give them further. If they say 1 month, we expect that before the end of the month or by the end of the 1 month, they would have done what is appropriate. If they don't, then we can take the necessary action. And by the way, the LNG is owned by Nigeria 50%. I think 50 or is it 49% or 50? 49% is Nigerian, so it's still Nigerian money. 51% the other investors and operators. So we are writing them to ask them to, within 1 month, deal with this. And at the end of the month, or before the end of the month, if they comply, fine and good, that's what we want. If they don't, then we'll take the next line of action. So in that respect, it means we have to stand down the consideration of this report, pending, isn't it, leader? Yes, so you move for that, please.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, in view of the amendments that have been made to the prayers in this particular report, I would like to move a motion that we suspend consideration of this report to another legislative date. I so move.
Chairman, you may second.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second as moved by the Secretary.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we stand down the consideration of this report till another legislative day based on the observations made by the Senate leader, say aye. Those against any answer. Next report, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, Senator Susan.
Yeah, Mr. President, in these chambers, we know that when you say something, you do it. Mr. President, you said that because of the march, 1 o'clock was the time you gave. Mr. President, 1 is well past, so I believe that as you have always done, you can keep your words by us rising by 1, Mr. President.
Yeah, I think we have only two more reports of the committee because we already received them. So please, let's just consider them. And I will urge the chairman not to go reading everything in your document, please. I appeal to all of us, please. 1 o'clock for 1 o'clock, but this time, maybe 10, 20 more additional minutes.
President, distinguished colleagues, the third report is report of Committee on Natives, Privileges and Public Petitions in respect of petition from Mr. Pewick Phillips Kindle against Nigerian Security Printing and Minting PLC for wrongful termination of his appointment. Mr. President, as shown in the preambles, we were able to receive the submission from the petitioner and the respondent. And our findings and observation is as shown on 5.0, Mr. President. findings and observations, Mr. President. Well, as shown, our finding and observation is as what number 1 to 5, and all colleagues have a copy already. The following are our recommendations, Mr. President. Based on the findings above, as itemized 1 to 6, the committee recommends that 1. The petition of Mr. Pewe Philip Skindle be reinstated, paid his salaries and entitlement from the date of the termination of his appointment till date, and 2. Mr. Pewe Philip Skindle be allowed to take necessary examinations and be promoted accordingly in line with standards set for promotion in the establishment. I so move, Mr. President.
Anyone who comments? Okay, we look at the recommendations. The petitioner, Mr. Pewe Philip Kindle, be reinstated, pay his salaries and entitlement from the date of the termination of his appointment to date. Chairman, why was his appointment terminated?
Well, Mr. President, he was terminated because he was found in another section of the factory, and we consider that that's not enough for somebody who has put on 11 years to serve a government, to serve an.
What was he doing on the other side of the company? What was he doing on the other side?
Towards closing time, I think he went to the other department, and he didn't commit any offense.
What's the policy of the company?
The policy is that when somebody is in another department, that they will terminate him.
Chairman, that's the policy, right? Was he not aware of the policy? Because if someone will be given an appointment or something, they will tell you these are their policies, and it's for you to observe the policies.
Regarding the time to read through, we look at the basis. We ask them a lot of questions. We cross-examine the.
You may read the findings, even if it means not taking the last one. Let's do this one properly.
Well, findings 1. The petitioner, Mr. Pewe Kindle, was actually a staff of the Nigeria Security Printing meeting from 9th of June 1997 to 30 June 2008, when his appointment was terminated. That whereas the letter inviting Mr. Pewe Kindle to appear before a divisional committee on 28 April 2008 asked him to explain why he slept on duty. The extract from the Executive Council minute, which approved the termination of his appointment, stated that his termination was because he was found in another section of the factory without permission, and as if that was not bad enough, his termination did not indicate why his appointment was terminated. 3. That the committee was very worried that NSPM was unable to establish the connection or transition from accusation of sleeping on duty, which they could not establish anyway, in one memo of the company to the allegation of being found in another section of the company. The petitioner's normal area of operation in another memo. 4. That the committee was further worried about why the petitioner, who was admittedly a first offender, should be thrown out of job for being found in another section of the factory, having put in 11 years of meritorious service for the success of the company. 5. That the petitioner's appointment was terminated without paying him his entitlement, and when Nigeria Security Printing Meeting PSC was asked why he was not paid, they alleged that he did not present himself for payment. And 6. that based on what happened to the petitioners as seen in the oral defense of the petitioner, the committee noted sadly that the petitioner has not been fairly treated and should be reinstated, paid his salary and entitlement, and be promoted accordingly to be at par with his colleagues. That's it.
Any comments on this? I still want to find out the day the security, Nigerian Security Printing and Minting, the NSPM, did they show the condition of service? Because they must have a condition of service, which may include to stay within your area, not to be seen or found somewhere else in that institution. Did they show you their condition of service? Because if they are going to sack someone, or if they've sacked someone because of this, that he was found somewhere where he was not supposed to be, and it is part of the condition of service that this person signed up to, then it's appropriate. But if it is not, and it's contrived just to get the man out, then it's unfair and we can reverse it. But I want us to be very careful here, that we get the right information and take the right decision. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, on this issue, I agree with you. You know, I have been on personnel management brief in my civil service career. And on the basis of this, I find it very difficult to abide by the decision of the committee. One, given the fact that this company is a public liability company, therefore it's a private sector entity. It's a private sector entity, it has conditions of service, which anybody who is going to be desirous of obtaining employment in that company has to subscribe to their conditions of appointment before taking up a letter of appointment. If it is very clear that there is a violation, and that violation is punished by the action that has been taken by management and by its executive board, based on that, I don't think it is moral, for the Senate to come and do it here. Because otherwise, we'll be taking a position which, if it is adopted, cannot be adopted, and if it is adopted, will lead the select to some form of infamy when we come to relate to other areas that are of more egregious concern to this institution. The issue is not according to justice. Justice demands that we do justice to the person, but we also have to do justice to the institution. If we do injustice to the institution by violating its own laws, under which its own staff have to subscribe before becoming employed, then we are not doing justice to the institution. Therefore, my own brief, sir, is that this issue should be taken very, very, very delicately. It's a very delicate issue. And I don't think this kind of this institution should go and mess up itself by opening a whole book. It means somebody can be disciplined and dismissed for a civil service, relying on the public service rules. And the rules state very clearly about what the punishment is for misconduct. And then somebody is, according to the rule, treated fairly. And then the Public Service, Civil Service Commission takes a decision on that. And then we come out and here and say that that kind of rule has to be set aside. He knew what the rules are before he got employment. Therefore, this is a very dangerous terrain, and I don't think we should entertain it. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Senator Suleiman Abdulkari, you raise your hand.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. I think the leader has aptly captured all that is needed to be said on this. But on issues of policy, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, on assumption of office or for every employee that is employed into such reputable organizations, there are usually conditions of service given in booklet form that spells out your entitlements, the disciplinary procedure, and what you ought to abide by for the period that you are in service of such organizations. And I'm sure the person under consideration here will have had that privilege, usually in printed form, and signed off that you will abide by the rules and regulations of the organization. And he must have been found wanting to lead to his expulsion from the institution. So the Senate needs to be appropriately guided on its decision as far as this is concerned, Mr. President.
Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Well, I think, let me thank the President of the Senate for drawing our attention that in our haste, we need to also show due diligence on this matter. Mr. President, let me refer my colleagues to page 5, item number 4, which said that on the day of the incident, 5th December 2007, which resulted in the petitioner's termination, his place of duty was government and other sections. That at the close of work on that day, the petitioner did not present himself to be searched out of the section. That it was his tally disc notice on the tally board that indicated that he was still in the factory. That consequently, a search was conducted and he was found at model print section, a section different from his place of duty. That the presence of the petitioner and model print section without authorization or permission was a breach of section D11, subsection F, subsection 1 of Nigerian Security and Printing PLC Employees Handbook. Mr. President, again, if you look at the petitioner's own concern, he said he was never queried, that is at page 4, item 7, or clause 7, that he was never queried whether on this allegation or on any other, that due process was not followed in terminating his appointment, that there was no evidence of sleeping on duty established against him. However, the employees are saying from number 5 that the punishment for being found in a department location other than the employee's normal place of work without permission was termination of appointment. 6, that the Nigerian Security and Printing and Minting PLC extant procedure for termination of staff appointment was strictly observed before the petitioner's appointment was terminated. So, Mr. President, perhaps since the committee actually had engagement with the petitioner and the, those who were petitioned, let him explain when they appeared, were they able to establish the fact that this strict procedure that the company said they followed was actually followed? Because usually nobody will agree that he has actually breached or he's actually at fault. So maybe if that is cleared, it means clearly, given the sensitive nature of work of this agency, I think that clause was put in place as part of the security measure to make sure that what was done in a section remains in that section because of the sensitive nature. So I think this gives credence to the fact that perhaps it is the nature of their job that made them to come with this kind of stringent, punishment for which employees are aware in their employee handbook ab initio.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Biodun Olujimi, Ekiti South. Mr. President, first let me commend the Ethics Committee. When you attend their meetings and you see the way they conduct it and the intensity of the questions, you will know that they do a great job there. However, I have a few reservations about this particular document. First of all, it is the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting Company. That is a very sensitive organization. And I believe everything must be done to support them to give the best in terms of the relationship there. And I believe that as an entrant into the place, this gentleman must have known that it is unethical to be found elsewhere. Yes, we were told that he was not queried and he was a first-time offender. But in a very sensitive situation, it is very important to be decorous, and I believe that has not been observed here. What is more intriguing for me is that the man was laid off in 2008. That is about 12 years ago. That's a long time. If we now ask that he should be reinstated, we might be asking for mediocrity to go back to the organization. And so, I believe we need to step this down for the committee to look at it again and probably find a situation where the man could just be paid off and he could go and be on his own. Because for him to have violated that very important rule is also a minus for him. I believe we need to step it down and allow the committee to do further work on the document. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm still mindful of Senator Suswam's calling our attention to 1 o'clock, but you know what we have at hand is something that is worth serious consideration. If you look at observations 5 and 6 on page 5, the position of the NSPM with respect to this policy is clear, is termination of appointment. If you are found in a section that is not yours, your appointment will be terminated. It's clear. And that is supposed to be known to this man, whether he has been there for 11 years. In fact, the fact that he was there for 11 years gives it even more credence that he should have known better. But I think our committee should go a little bit extra mile, if you haven't done that, to demand the policy document for the or regulation for the NSPM and find out where this particular provision is. That is to say, if you are found in any section other than yours, your appointment will be terminated. If you find that, they should show you, it means his appointment was terminated appropriately. And I agree completely with the submission by the Deputy Chief Whip. NSPM is a very sensitive organization, and therefore their regulations could be extremely tight and rigid because of what they do there. So I want to agree also with submission by Senator Biodun Olujumi that we stand the consideration of this thing, that we don't rush it so that we are not unfair to any of the two. Let's find more information, more detail, and then we can take a more informed decision. But you are raising your hand, you can say whatever. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Why I was raising up my mind is just to look at it the way the Senate has looked at it. When we look at number 8, his entitlement has not been paid at all. You know that we can accept, because I think my clerk has gone through their policy document, and we will accept that he's been legally terminated. But we are talking about first offender before, but that doesn't work here. So we may reamend our first recommendation for Mr. Pewe to be paid his salaries and entitlement to date for termination of his appointment. Because up to today, he has not collected his entitlement, he said it to him.
Which entitlements? Okay, if they terminate your appointment.
Today.
Okay, so he also has entitlements after termination. Okay, Deputy Chief Whip.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I think let's look at page 5, item number 8, that the petitioner was notified of his final entitlement through his termination letter. Mark the word, final entitlement. And another letter dated 3rd December 2009, authorizing his pension fund administrators, IBTC pension managers, to allow him access to his contribution. And then that Mr. Kindle was not entitled to reinstatement, payment of salaries, allowances, and promotion as he claimed on the ground that his appointment was not properly terminated. So, Mr. President, the issue is at the point you are terminated, even by public service rules, since it is termination based on an offense that has so stated, honestly, there are certain things you don't get. But the question is, he's entitled to his pension and other things. So maybe the committee, like you rightly said, if we want to stand down this consideration, let them get us the extract of where the final decision was taken, the extract of that employee handbook that so stated what the offense was, and then the details of the letter indicating what his benefits are by the termination letter, because all of them are stated in that termination letter as per the section I've just read. So if that is done, it will clearly show us so that we don't go back and start allocating a benefit that does not exist. Because
Leader, you are raising your hand.
Yes, sir. Sir, you see, what they did was to terminate him, not to dismiss. It is not dismissal, because by dismissal he will lose everything. But they terminated his appointment for violating their rules. So they wrote a letter to him that up to that point of termination, you are entitled to everything as a staff. Now this man wants to come and eat his cake and have it by saying that after 12 years of not working, he should now be promoted to a higher rank, be paid for all the 12 years that he had not worked. He had not worked, and then when his termination was not done in error, the termination was done in accordance with the rules of the organization. And the organization is a security organization. Therefore, for us, for me, as a personnel manager, what should be done is for his dues at the point of termination to be paid to him, and no more, no less. Let him go and find another job.
Well, I think, Chairman, you have heard the interventions of our colleagues. We are standing this down as well, and in fact we are standing the last one down without even any. No, this is the last one, right? No, it's not the last one. Nostra is the last one. We take them in another legislative day, but remember that this particular one, as far as we are concerned here, the NSPM are taking the right decision. But if we want to satisfy ourselves, we should ask for more documents or information from them regarding the regulations to confirm that once you are found anywhere else other than your point of duty, your punishment is termination. If that exists, this man has no case at all, except what the regulations in NSPM gives him regarding other surveillance or whatever is in the so please, we stand down the consideration of this and the last report till another legislative day. But remember, as soon as practicable, let's conclude on these two reports that we are standing now. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise that this Senate do stand down consideration of the third report to another legislative day pending when the committee is able to resolve some of the issues that have been identified. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I rise to second the motion as moved by the Senate Leader that we stand down this report to another legislative day. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. Leader, the other items, remaining items.
My highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that this distinguished chamber stands down the consideration of all other items on our legislative agenda today that have not been treated to another legislative day. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that we do stand up all other items on the other paper to another legislative day. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we stand down the consideration of the remaining items on the order paper till another legislative day, say aye. Those against saying it, I say Leader of the Senate, adjournment.
I rise to move that this Senate do adjourn until tomorrow, the 30th of March 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that this Senate do now adjourn to Wednesday, 30th of March 2022. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do adjourn till tomorrow, Wednesday, the 30th day of March 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned till tomorrow, Wednesday, the 30th day of March 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt.